Welcome to a new video tutorial about the summary of the story Adventures in a Banyan Tree and the profile of Ruskin Bond. The story Adventures in a Banyan Tree is written by Ruskin Bond, who is a well-known Indian author. In the story, he writes about his wonderful childhood experiences with nature. When we read his story, we feel the beauty as well as the wildness of nature. In his childhood, Ruskin Bond lived with his grandfather and grandmother in a village near the town of Dahra at the foot of the Himalayas. There were so many trees. Birds and small animals found shelter under the leaves of trees and in the bushes. Always there were noises of these birds and animals. We can understand from the story that his grandfather had loved nature very much. Grandfather had not destroyed the habitat of birds and animals. Grandfather had always taken care of the surroundings of his house. Moreover, grandfather had bought white rats from the market. The only place where the grandfather could not reach was the top of the banyan tree. Grandmother always teased him and compared him to the Countess of Desmond. Countess of Desmond was an English woman who died at the age of 117 when she fell from an apple tree. Like that old English woman, Ruskin Bond's grandfather was also a hard-working person. But because of his physical weakness, he could not climb on the banyan tree. Ruskin Bond felt that the top of the banyan tree was his domain. The banyan tree was older than grandfather, older than the house, and as older as the town of Dahra. Ruskin Bond had a friendship with a grey squirrel. The squirrel had feared at first, but when it found that there was no catapult or air gun in the hand of the other, it became friendlier. Later, the squirrel became daring enough to jump into the pocket of the other to find food. But the relatives and friends of the squirrels considered the squirrel as headstrong and as a fool for trusting a human being, because they believed that humans were always destroying their habitat and they were attacking them with air gun or catapult. During the spring season, the banyan tree was full of red colored figs. So many birds and small animals would have reached the banyan tree to eat these figs. The banyan tree was the noisiest place on the road during that fig season. Ruskin Bond had built a small platform on the top of the banyan tree. He had spent his afternoons there during summer. By sitting on the platform, he had read almost all the world classic books. In between, he would have watched the surroundings from the top of the banyan tree. He used to see grandmother who was washing clothes or was quarreling with a vegetable vendor, and grandfather was spending time in the garden. One day he could see a deadly fight between a snake and a mongoose under the banyan tree. Grandfather and grandmother were inside the house. He watched the fight with curiosity. The cobra was a skillful and experienced fighter. He could move very fast and strike with the speed of light. Moreover, the venom of the cobra was deadly. The grey mongoose was 3 feet long. Cobra knew that the mongoose was a superb fighter, clever and aggressive. Cobra raised his body and spread his hood. He attacked the mongoose. Mongoose bushed his tail. The tail of the mongoose had thick hairs that had saved him from fatal bites. Beside the other, a myna and a jungle crow also were watching the battle. They had settled on the cactus to watch the outcome. The cobra tried to mesmerize the mongoose into marking a false move, but mongoose was clever. He knew the power of cobra's glassy, unwinking eyes. So the mongoose did not look at the eyes of the cobra. It was a fight of champions. Nobody could say who would win. The crow and the myna flew towards the snake and the mongoose together, but they coiled with each other. They returned to the cactus plant. Once again the birds flew towards the site of the fight, but they coiled again and returned to the cactus plant. There was a dramatic difference in the third round. Birds flew again towards the snake and mongoose. They did not collide with each other. But halfway, the myna decided not to participate in the fight and returned to the cactus plant. But the crow flew towards the snake, but the cobra whipped his head back and struck with great force. The crow was thrown away and it died. But the myna did not further interfere in the fight. It just observed the fight. The cobra was weakening. The mongoose fearlessly continued his attack and finally killed the snake. Mongoose dragged the snake into the bushes. The myna gave a shrill cry of congratulations to the mongoose and flew away. Ruskin got down from the tree and told grandfather of the fight he had seen. He was pleased to hear that the mongoose had won. Grandfather had encouraged mongoose to live in the garden to keep away the snakes. He fed it regularly with scraps from the kitchen. But he never tried taming it because he knew that a wild mongoose was more useful than a domesticated one. Mongoose would have stolen the eggs from the poultry house, but grandmother would have forgiven him because he had kept snakes away from the house. Banyan tree witnessed an unusual love story of a grey squirrel and a white rat. They together went off little excursions among the branches of the banyan tree. Grandfather had bought white rat from the market. In search of grandmother's knitting needle, Ruskin found a hole in the banyan tree. There were 3 white baby squirrels in that hole. Profile of Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond is a well-known Indian author. He was born in Kasauli on 19th May 1934. His famous books are Our Trees Still Grow in Dehra, The Blue Umbrella, and A Fight of Pigeons. He got many awards for his books, including Sahitya Akademi Award in 1992. The government of India honored him by giving the Padma Shri Award in 1999 and Padma Bhushan in 2014.